I went on Shark Tank with my product Spatty and Spatty Daddy, and since then, I've wound up making over $5 million selling on Amazon. My name is Cheryl. My whole life, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be home with my kids, but I needed to find the money to be able to do this. I had to take charge of my destiny, but I couldn't figure out the right business. Until one night, I was getting ready to go on a date, and I couldn't get that last bit of makeup out of my bottle. I didn't want to throw my makeup out. It was so expensive, and I could tell there was still a lot in the bottle. I Googled to try to find a product to get inside my foundation bottle, but I couldn't find anything. And that was my light bulb moment. If I could make one and build my own income, then I could be a stay-at-home mom. And this was just the beginning of my journey. So this is when I came up with the product Spatty and Spatty Daddy, the miniature spatulas to go inside your foundation bottles, your lotion bottles, your condiments, just to use really in any product in the house that you can't get that last bit of product out, and it's eco-friendly. So now you don't have to waste any more of your money or waste any more of your product. Now go ahead and smash that like button because I'm about to share with you how I started a business with no business experience and ended up on Shark Tank and making over $5 million online. Plus, I'll share some huge mistakes that can tank your business. I made over $4,600 selling on Amazon in my first year, but it's important for you to know this is revenue and not profit. I sold around 466 units, and it cost me around $279 to produce them. And there are a lot of fees you have to pay when selling on Amazon. I paid almost $700 for the Amazon 15% referral fee, which is what you pay to sell on the Amazon platform. But it's worth it because Amazon has over 310 million customers. And no other marketplace has this type of opportunity for sellers. Then I paid over $1,000, which is the fee you have to pay for Amazon FBA. Amazon FBA picks, packs, and ships your products out for you because FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. But it's really worth it because it saves a lot of time and money from having to pack my own products and take them to the post office back and forth every day. But for my first year of selling on Amazon, I still made around $2,600 in profit. It felt really great that people were wanting my product. But this was so early on, not just with Amazon, but with my skills. I had a bad listing with wrong wording. The listing didn't look very professional. I spent no money on marketing. It was just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks. And I did a big mistake on photos that cost me over $5,000. But I'll get to that in a minute. After Shark Tank, I went on to selling over $45,000 in my second year of selling on Amazon. It cost me around $2,700 to make around 4,500 units and $6,800 for my 15% Amazon referral fee, plus over $10,000 on my Amazon FBA. And in my second year of selling on Amazon, I made over $25,000 in net profit. And in year 3, it kept growing. I made over $86,000 in sales. And after expenses, I made around $48,000 in profit. In year 4, we doubled our revenue. We did over $173,000 in sales, and after expenses, we made over $97,000 in profit. In year 4, I was making over $15,000 a month. And this is way more than I was making with any other job, where I was making other people money. The organic advertising from being on Shark Tank, even though the Spatty wasn't perfect when I aired, helped me grow a massive following that kept growing. But you don't have to wait to go on Shark Tank to build a successful FBA Amazon business. In fact, the YouTube FBA Amazon coach Travis teaches people how to start their own FBA Amazon business. He has done over $7 million in sales on Amazon and has taught so many people his guaranteed technique. There is a link below to sign up. 2018 and 2019 were life-changing. In 2018, I made over $500,000 in revenue, and after expenses, over $280,000 in profit. In 2019, it brought $574,000 in revenue and over $300,000 in profit. Going into year 7, we couldn't foresee it, but it was going to lead to huge changes. 2020 and 2021, we had over $700,000 in revenue and over $400,000 in profit. And 2022 has been our biggest year yet. We hit another milestone. We did over $900,000 in revenue and over $500,000 in profit. During the pandemic, everybody was staying at home and shopping online, and everybody was money conscious and wanting to save every last drop. So the Spatty became a massively popular selling item at this point, and it continued right through the pandemic, right through 2022. I was making over $70,000 each month, and I couldn't believe how much life had changed with this my little idea of the Spatty. But because of Spatty's success and its popularity, several competitors started popping up on Amazon and practically ripping the Spatty off. We were able to get Amazon to take down several of these snarky competitors and have their ASINs removed for infringement. Other companies made really crappy ripoffs that were really just not that good. The customers always wind up purchasing the Spatty after they see the poor quality of these other products. This really helps point out how important it is to build a brand. Spatty is a brand with a very unique story. I continued the success into 2023 and 2024. In 2023, I made over $850,000 in revenue and over $470,000 in profit. This was a time of big change for us. We adjusted our words and phrases that we spent our advertising dollars on. We also spent a lot of time updating our Amazon page. And during this time, we also updated our listing images. In 2024, we made over $600,000 in revenue and over $350,000 in profit. All this time selling on Amazon sounds incredible. Altogether, I made over $5 million selling on Amazon. But that was revenue, not profit. After taking out all of our expenses, advertising, and other fees, I was left with around $3 million in profit. But before I explain my business mistake, let me explain to you how I started my business, because this can cost you a lot of money, especially my biggest mistake that cost me $40,000. It cost me around $100 to buy some materials from Hobby Lobby to make my very first test version of the Spatty. In terms of research, I didn't spend any money. This was before I even thought about Amazon and didn't know about any proper research software. So with my at-home version, I tested it out with friends and family, and they all loved it. I made around 20 Spatties, and I put them on eBay, and they all sold quickly. And the people wanted a larger version of the Spatty for their lotion bottles, and so I made one of those as well. In a way, that was my market research. But if you're starting your own Amazon business today, you don't need to buy a product from Hobby Lobby, and I don't recommend melting it over a stove. Your first stop would be a program like Helium-10 that will help you find your product ideas. If you want to unlock all the premium features for finding a great product, there's a link in the description for a discount code for Helium-10. And when you use that code, you'll get the biggest discount anywhere for Helium-10. It cost me around $5,000 to design my logo and packaging. To get your logo and packaging designs, you can use places like Fiverr, Upworks, or 99 Designs. If you don't want to spend $5,000 on your packaging and logo design, Travis has a way you can get it way cheaper in his in-depth tutorials on his Amazon FBA course, the Passion Product Formula, link below in the description. I didn't spend any money getting photos taken for my first run of my website, since I took those photos myself. But that was the beginning of a crazy expensive mistake I made. I'm not a professional photographer, and I realized I needed professional photos for places like my website, social media. So I then spent a massive $10,000 for photos for my Amazon listing. So I wanted to build up my social media. So I knew I needed a lot of photos because I was wanting to post every day on social media. And I found a company that charged $10,000, and they would find people who would take the product for free and give me photos. But only about half of them I thought were good. And then some other people reached out to me and told me about this other company that did the same thing, but their photographers that they found were a lot better and that they loved all their pictures. And so I sent another $10,000 or more pictures and more videos, but the quality was a little bit better, but not much. So this was a pretty big mistake that I made on the money I spent for photos. I then spent $1,000 to get my LLC. I started as an LLC and then changed to an S Corp later on. There's a great video below that will show you how to protect your business legally. My next cost was around $10,000 for trademarks. I originally applied for trademarks myself, but I have since started working with a lawyer. It ended up costing me around $20,000 to get my products made by the manufacturer, and that was roughly for 30,000 Spatties. Before Shark Tank, I personally called a lot of different manufacturers and met with them, but nobody really believed in my product. Eventually, I called a mold company in Florida, and they gave me a rough idea on how much it would cost to get a mold made. So when I pitched on Shark Tank, I only had those rough figures from that one company. But after the show, I realized there were a lot more costs I needed to look at, such as packaging, and then a huge cost would be the price of the mold. And these were all expenses that I couldn't afford. I found a US-based manufacturer who could help me produce the Spatty and Spatty Daddy. And he quoted me around $50,000 to get the mold for the product made. Now, I couldn't afford that, but he was kind enough and believed in me and the product that he offered me a payment plan. This is where I got so lucky. Due to Shark Tank and having the pre-orders come through for my Shark Tank episode, I was able to use that money to pay for my first production run. And before I produced the first production run, I did have to spend around $5,000 on samples. If you're looking for someone to manufacture your products, Travis has a ton of resources and he'll help find the right manufacturer for you. You can also use Google to find manufacturers for your product. So far, I spent around $90,000, and this was before getting the actual product. That's a lot of money, and I was not expecting it to cost this much. So I knew that was a lot of money to spend, but to me, it was worth it because on Amazon alone, they have over 310 million customers worldwide, and 230 million of those are here in the US. That's a massive market that I didn't want to miss out on. Travis actually has a lot of great videos on teaching Amazon FBA business. He has a free 10-hour Amazon course with the link below. That's why I wanted to share my story here on this channel. But there are still more costs that I had. We had to spend roughly $300 on shipping materials before we could actually ship the products out to anybody. At the beginning of the Shark Tank success, we quickly got all the packaging supplies organized. It was not simple, and we hand packaged everything back then. We had to put it all together ourselves at home. My mom, my dad, and my husband all helped me. Then it cost me around $1,000 to get my UPC codes. I needed a lot of different UPC codes for my different packaging that I used in different countries. It cost me $39.99 to set up my Amazon seller account. An Amazon account fee is what you pay to list and sell your products on Amazon. And I have access to Amazon Seller Central, where you can have access to reports about your expenses, your profits, and your sales. Honestly, when I appeared on Shark Tank, I was really early. Like I said, I only had a few sales on eBay and the product was still handmade. I was so early that Mark Cuban dropped out because he didn't have the time to help me because I was in the very beginning stages of building a business. I didn't know how much I was going to sell the product for, and so I came up with what I thought would be a good price, and Lori said that price was too cheap for QVC because it would cost more for them to ship the product than the product cost. And Mr. Wonderful didn't like my lack of a business plan, but he still loved the product and said that Spatty is pure gold if it can really get out all the product that I claim it could do. But Damon believed in me, and even though we didn't make a deal, he offered to give me contacts in the beauty industry. That belief changed my life. I went back on Shark Tank a second time, but this episode never aired. When I pitched in front of the Sharks the second time, me and Damon made a deal to where he doesn't own any of the company, but if he gets my product in stores, he gets a percentage of those sales. Even though I didn't get a deal on Shark Tank, this was life-changing. It was still a massive success. When this aired, I got a ton of pre-orders on my Shopify account, and this helped me pay for my mold and the production run of the product. Then we had so much demand, I was excited to quickly build my Amazon store. Because I was new to the business world and I didn't get a deal on Shark Tank, I ended up making a massive mistake that cost me $40,000. I was doing most of this by myself and ended up being contacted by someone out of the blue that I thought was a miracle, but it ended up not being a good fit and not good for my marketing strategy. A musician reached out to me because he loved the product and wanted to help me. I couldn't believe it. Finally, someone big reached out to me and wanted to help the Spatty and believed in me. It felt like a dream. He promised to hook up with celebrities. He connected me with a producer who mentioned getting the Spatty to the Kardashians, Beyonce, Rihanna, and all these people who could help market the Spatty too. This is a mistake that a lot of new businesses make. They get excited about, working with celebrities, but it ended up costing me a lot of money to pay for the lawyer, and the contract just never worked out, and it wasn't always to my business's benefit. After all this, I hadn't got connected with anybody, and I had spent thousands on my own lawyer. So even though I made some very big mistakes, I went from being a stay-at-home mom to a CEO of a multi-million-dollar business. Growing on Amazon was hard, and I was lucky. I had an idea that other people believed in. Nobody on Shark Tank made a deal with me, but Damon and the audience saw a promise. With the belief of everybody around me, I was able to grow Spatty into the business that it is today. This really felt incredible. Use this as a sign to start your own business. Follow your dreams and even try to go on Shark Tank. When I started, I had an idea. I didn't have any business experience, and I definitely was not a millionaire. I just wanted a product that would help me, and it ended up helping others too. One step at a time, and I learned how to grow and build a multi-million-dollar business. Now I have built my passive income business, and I know you can be a success if you try it too. Joining Travis's FBA business, the passion product formula can change your life. You won't regret it. You'll get over 100 step-by-step tutorials, one-on-one coaching, and Q&As. There is a link in the description to join. But if you're not ready for that yet, Travis has a 10-hour free Amazon FBA course that you can get by clicking right here.